Hello, hello, and welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. This is Giselle Janela, and together we are taking love relationships, your love relationship, to soul-based level relationship, which is a whole new different game. In this video, we will check this, which is actually something that started happening quite a lot, which is some people replacing their love relationship with something else, such as other activities, could be hobbies, pets, even robotics. Let's see what we can discover. Okay, I'm gonna read from manuscript. It says, an X-ray view through our current society. A large number of the global population, women and men, are experiencing being single over their 30s, 40s, some without having been in a long-term committed relationship or marriage, and some who are in their 50s have been married and now divorced. Some in a committed marriage or long-term love relationship experience the same challenges they experienced when they were single. Despite the large pool of single and available people worldwide, the reality is that many struggle to find and maintain committed long-term love relationships. The challenges of commitment are real and often underestimated, but this does not mean it's impossible. If so many people express their readiness to commit, what are the barriers that prevent them from doing so? This is actually quite interesting, right? What do you think? What do you think has happened and it's happening that is actually driving people to find it harder to find a love partner nowadays? I hear this more often. Not sure if you have heard me mention that I am a therapist. I'm also I'm an instructor trainer. I do retreats, and over the years, well, more recent years, I started hearing from some students, from some clients, that it has become really hard to establish a serious committed love relationship. And this is not just in women and men who are in their 30s, even younger people who are in their 20s, they find it really hard. Even teenagers, you know that back in the day, I'm a Generation X person, okay, because I'm 52 now. I was born in 72, 1972, and then say my parents' generation, say baby boomers. Well, for baby boomers, my generation, and part of the millennial generation, actually, we started our love relationship when we were teenagers, not very young teenagers, but say average age 15, 14, 15, right? But then also teenagers find it super hard to establish actually friendship. This is actually quite worrying because think about this. If our society, say humanity, depends on people, okay, a woman and a man, which is the natural way to bring babies to the world, right? So if a couple, it's difficult actually for people to establish this relationship that actually creates a family unit. Then what is the chances and what are the hopes for our humanity to carry forward? We really have to think about this. So, as a therapist, I have encountered more and more issues, not just in terms of emotional issues, mental health issues. Actually, teenagers have more issues or more problems than teenagers in my generation. It is a fact, right? And this has to do with the usage of technology, the introduction of technology, which is actually somehow started to replace the natural face-to-face interaction. As human beings, we are communal beings, we are social beings. We need to be in the presence of one another, right? That's our nature. So this is actually a phenomena that has become more and more ingrained in society worldwide. It's not just an isolated case, for example, that teenagers, young adults, or adults, any adult, okay, in this case, for example, in Singapore, in Southeast Asia, in the US, in Europe, even in Latin America, it doesn't matter where, it's happening everywhere. It's harder. So we need to find out what's going on. Let's keep reading. Among people who in the past were ready to commit, a significant number desisted from their original idea and instead chose to settle for a relationship with a pet, with a hobby, an AI friend, an addiction that some are not even aware that they have an addiction, a fantasy they engage with at night, and in some cases have chosen to establish long-term love relationship with a real human-sized robot. This is for real. It's quite hard to grasp that, right? But it's happening. It says, perhaps you have heard of isolated cases that sound like they have been pulled out of a cyber tale. Not a fairy tale, cyber. In one famous case in Japan, a man legally married, a full-size human robot. He then pay cash, okay? He then bought some child-sized robots to be his children and wholeheartedly considers them his family. This is respectable, but one can't help but wonder what could have happened to that man to make such a choice. Instead of establishing a family with fellow human beings, he chose robots. Having lived in Japan long enough to immerse myself in and understand its culture, I can see how these men will consider this choice honest and valid. For most people, will be utterly bizarre. To understand this man and others like him, one must understand the relationship the Japanese established with robots, especially in the 1960s. Robotics in Japan started as early as the turn in the 19th century. Robots became popular with television shows. Do you remember Ultraman or Urutaman 7? A superhero robot that beats Godzilla. Actually beats the shit out of Godzilla. Okay? Remember Ultraman 7? That guy. Okay? It says, then came Astro Boy, another superhero robot that saved our planet, and many other superhero robots in the Japanese comic and manga world who are portrayed to be beneficial to humans and the world, as far as the comic and manga creators consider. This is not necessarily to be true. The first video game, Mario Bros., came out of Japan. So the Japanese have had a longer relationship with the artificial world than we have in other parts of the world. These facts makes them who they are today. It is part of their childhood conditioning. I will explain more about human conditioning in part 1 of this book. It is fascinating. So the Japanese man who created his robot family has valid reasons for doing so. However, here comes the philosophical question. Will we like this kind of case to be the norm in the near future. I understand this was a rare case, but it is not so rare nowadays, with readily accessible sexual robots for men and women available for purchase in Asia, Europe, and North America. What are we getting ourselves into? Okay, let's continue. How about love relationships being replaced by pets, hobbies, or distractions? Previously, I mentioned the extreme case of the Robert lover slash partner, which is extreme, at least for some people. However, the covered agenda for this humanity seems to normalize it and make young people think it is ideal. To me, this is the problem. While delivering therapy sessions, classes, and guiding outstanding individuals, I can't help but notice how the number of single people who want to establish a committed long-term love relationships chose to spend their time, energy, money, and other resources on their pets, hobbies, or anything else instead of pursuing a romantic relationship with a human being. I'm going to make a pause again here. So having a pet, a hobby, or an interest, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's only natural that we want to have that. Okay. Now the issue comes when, say, a person will then be so focused for, let's say, a pet, a dog or a cat. It could be anything, a bird. You choose. Okay. So the pet takes the place of a partner. So what I found out actually through sessions, therapy session, is that the human being, my client, that chose to establish this relationship really had an underlying unresolved emotional issue, psychological issue, and that's why this person opted out to go for this pet for companionship. It was a case of being very scared. For some others, it was the case that they had a really bad experience, traumatic experience. So they said, no way, I'm not dealing with humans. Right? And it's understandable. So if another fellow human being, say a love partner, say was a sociopath or a narcissistic sociopath, right? Because there are these combinations, right? And was the kind of person that manipulated, say, these women or men, and they got really severely affected. Of course, they will say, I don't want to do that. So my suggestion is that if you know someone who is going through that kind of experience, or you yourself, you are going through this kind of experience, I want you to know that there is a way out. Okay? There is a way out. You do not have to endure abuse. You don't have to endure a situation that diminishes you, because out of respect and out of self-love, you gotta stand your ground. You gotta be in charge. And being in charge of yourself means saying no to what is not healthy, what is not uplifting. So don't be afraid to lose a partner that is not beneficial for you. Okay, time passes by really quickly, and you really have to consider whether you want to spend your life suffering. Do you want to spend your life distracting yourself? Because the other thing that happens is that when people find themselves in an unfulfilling love relationship, they will opt out for distractions. And distractions can be anything that will take the mind off from what's happening. I've done it myself several times. I became a shopaholic. What else I did in order to distract myself? I would travel a lot, would be out of the house. And it was because I didn't face reality. I didn't want to address what was not keeping me happy. Okay. So we have to be courageous to take ourselves on board. So distractions, okay, whatever you do, distraction, for example, working too much, eating too much, sleeping too much, doing anything in excess, that's a distraction. You can distract yourself with addictive uh, things like, for example, smoking, alcohol, even sugar, eating a lot, for example. So these distractions will not really sort out your situation. Okay. A big distraction nowadays people have is actually engaging with social media, with technology, AI partners, but it's not real. Hmm? So, look, technology is very useful. We are connecting through technology, wonderful, right? But when it comes to replacing a human being, replacing a partner, real human being partner with technology, then we have to really ask ourselves, what are we getting ourselves into? Okay. And I say this with all my love. Okay. Let's continue. Okay. Let's ponder upon these questions. What could hold them back or hold anyone back if one says they want a love relationship? What could be holding that person, or if it's your case, what could be holding you back? With all my love, I said to you, do not settle for less. And when I say this, it's not settling for mediocrity in your life. You have come to this life to enjoy it. You have come here to have a beautiful experience. And one of these beautiful experiences is actually love relationships. Yes. So as long as you are doing your love relationship, you are exploring your love relationships from your soul, you definitely will have a different experience. Okay. So I leave you with this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. If you are new to these videos, make sure that you click the subscribe button, the notification bell or button, and leave your comments. And please share these videos. I'm sure that there is someone that you know that will appreciate this information. So thank you so very much. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.